Do you think they've been clear enough about construction workers and whether they should or should not be going to work every day?
Well, across the whole of the economy, we've said that if you can work from home, you must do so.
Yeah, well, you're a bricklayer, you can't, can you?
If you can't work from home, it's impossible to do that, then you can go to work, but you must follow the Public Health England guidance in the workplace, and importantly, your employer should do that as well.
But you can't on a building site, Mr. Jenrick. You're aware of this?
Well, there are some situations where you can do so, and Public Health England, in partnership with the industry, the Construction Leadership Council, have published guidance which show ways in which it can operate in certain circumstances. But there are, as you say, many examples where it is impractical, and that's why a number of employers operating sites have chosen to close them in recent days, and we fully support those who are making that decision. It's up to the employers to think through the logistics, the way their sites operate, and see can they comply with the Public Health England guidance, as they would have to for any other health and safety situation. If they can't do that, then the sensible, prudent thing to do would be to close.
So they should, if they can't comply, they should close down.
That's right, as they would do if they're considering any other health and safety issue in the workplace.
Okay. Some of my listeners are telling me that roadworks are continuing, and obviously, again, staff come very close to each other as they fill the roads, they dig the holes, whatever it might be. Why aren't they suspended?
Well, again, any employer will have to follow the Public Health England guidance. If they can't do so, then they should consider closing. I think it is worth saying that in the construction industry, there are a number of roles which are really important to us as a country. We have to keep the country going, and that means essential repairs, certainly on the roads, on railways and other forms of public transport. It does mean ensuring that buildings are properly maintained, or else that can create its own health and safety challenges. You've got to be able to repair boilers or sanitation systems and so on, or else people will get ill or be living or working in unsafe conditions. And there are some items of work. I mean, for example, a very obvious, very prominent example would be remediation of high-rise buildings where they have unsafe forms of cladding on them following the Grenfell Tower tragedy, where it's a matter of urgent public safety that work continues if it's possible to do so, that those people can live in safety. So it is important for people to remember that the construction and building safety industry is important to all of us, not just from an economic perspective, but from a public health and safety perspective.
Lastly, noting that local government is also in your brief as Secretary of State, a lot of pressure could be relieved on the public transport system in London, and you will have seen, as I'm sure the Prime Minister had, pictures of crowded underground trains. Some of that pressure could be relieved if parking charges were to be suspended in the city. Are you reviewing that? Would you be prepared to do that?
Well, it's not. It's a matter for individual councils how they behave in that respect.
Well, you could make a government edict.
A number are considering how they can support NHS and social care workers and others doing absolutely critical functions in the fight against coronavirus, and that's something that we're keeping under constant review. The issue
what does
with
that mean? Are you going to suspend the parking charges or not in London?
Well, it's for local councils to make that decision. It's not for me as the Secretary of State, but we are working with local councils, urging them to support key workers as they're trying to get into work. It is sensible in some cases to drive into work rather than catching public transport.
But they've been removed from hospitals, Mr. Jenrick. I don't understand why Boris Johnson, he tells us all that we've got to stay indoors. It wouldn't be beyond his powers to say, and we're suspend, and that would relieve a lot of pressure on the underground trains. You must understand this.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely see that. I mean, the question of the tube is slightly different. That the pressure there has built up because there are far fewer services than there used to be, and my advice would be to lay on more services at peak hours so that anyone who's coming into work can do so without having to be cheek by jowl with other workers. But I take your point with respect to parking charges. That's something I'm certainly happy to give further thought to.
Okay.
Many councils are considering that and considering specific ways in which they can help health and social care workers through this time.